There was once a couple that had a very, very difficult time with shalom bayis. Like every little thing just like blew up to to levels, unimaginable. One particular day it just went out of control for like stupid reason. Like no, not even a real reason. It was a dumb reason and just went out of control. And the husband got so upset that he starts screaming at his wife. He runs out the door and he slams it so hard he breaks like one of the glasses. But he doesn't care, he just keeps on going. And she is tzebracha and she's broken. She's sitting there, she's crying. He, goes out, cools down a little bit, decides that he's going to come back home. He comes back home, his wife is nowhere to be found. She was gone, and while he's at home, he gets a phone call from his commanding officer. He was a reservist in the army. He gets a commanding officer, there's an urgent mission that we need you here ASAP. You have to be here within 30 minutes. So in that situation, he drops everything. He quickly writes a note to his wife, had to leave reserve, and then he signs his name and then he leaves. He goes over to the base and they prep him. He says, we're going to this area. It seemed like a very ordinary mission. You have to go, basically a retrieval of equipment. He says you have to go, but this is very sensitive equipment, and then we'll get you right back out there. He goes and he travels. He gets his whole team. He goes and he travels to the location, and they're starting to gather everything, and they start realizing it's super quiet. Like it's extra quiet. They were in enemy territory. And it says something just didn't feel right. And as they're gathering the equipment, all of a sudden there's lights that shine from all different angles, and they realize it was an ambush. And all of a sudden there's fire that's being shot at them from the gunshots that are being shot at them from all areas. He quickly goes down and he radios command, and they're fighting back and forth. And the enemy was extremely ready for this. They blew up the tanks. They blew up the cars. They were shooting back and forth, and it wasn't looking good. As during the fight, the adrenaline was so pumping for him that he just calmed down for a second to reload, and he realized that it was wet around his stomach. And he looks down and he sees this pile of blood, and he realized that he was shot. And once he realized he was shot, all of a sudden he felt weak. He felt very faint. And he quickly, he made a cheshbon. He says, I don't know he picks up his phone and he dials his wife. It rings once, it rings twice, all of a sudden it goes straight to voicemail. And she saw it and she pressed, delete. And he starts leaving her a voicemail. He says, my darling wife, he says, I'm so sorry about today. I'm so sorry. He says, it was such a dumb reason. He says, you were right, I was wrong. It made absolutely no sense. And then he continues and he says, you know what? He says, our entire marriage, you're the greatest bracha that ever came to me. He says, I wasn't worth it for you. I don't know. I know I failed as a husband. I failed as a husband. I failed as a father. I really, you deserve so much more. And he really opens up. And he says, you're the best thing that ever happened to me, and I wish that I could give you the life that you deserve, and unfortunately I didn't, and for that I'm sorry. And he continues and he says, I want you to know that I've always loved you, and I will always love you. And I just want to tell you, and then there's a loud explosion, and there's nothing. Meanwhile, the wife back home, she is running around. She sees the husband calling. She says, I'm not interested in it right now. Difficult. She hangs up the phone. She puts decline the call, and a few hours go by. And all of a sudden, she sees a convoy of the army comes up to her house. And the second that anybody who has been in the army sees a convoy knows exactly what this means. And she starts shaking, and she starts falling down. And she's like, well, what happened? And they come in. All the commanding officers says, I'm sorry, there was a situation. Can you please sit down? And they start. There was an ambush, and your husband's entire team was that. And then it goes on to say that your husband unfortunately didn't make it. And she is tzebracha. She's like, I can't believe it. The last thing, and a few hours go by until she remembers, wait a minute, she got a call. And she runs over to her phone and she sees there's one message that's playing over there. There's one message that's playing over there, and she goes and she listens to the message. And the message is what I just told you, how much he cares about her, how much he loves her, how much he wants her just to have so much bracha and so much success. And he feels so sorry about everything that that he has done. And then there's a massive explosion, and then you hear the line go dead. She listens to this message 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. She doesn't stop listening to this message. And when you take a step back, what happened that now the husband decided to open up? Because the truth of the matter is that deep down, this husband wanted to say this thing to his wife the whole time. But there's so many things that come in, and we're busy, and we have so many things, and we want to tell our children that we love them, and we want to tell our spouses that we love them, and we want to do the right thing, but we're so busy. But all of a sudden, when everything quiets down, when this guy was sitting with a bullet wound on his stomach and he was bleeding out, everything was quiet down, then the truth of the matter came out. And then the real MS of what came, he always wanted to tell his wife what he really felt about her. And how this is what it was always inside.